in the late 1970s in a quiet suburb of North London. An ordinary council house became the epicenter of one of the most infamous poltergeist cases in British history. The Enfield Poltergeist, as it came to be known, would captivate and terrify the nation for nearly 2 years. It all began in August 1977 when Peggy Hodgen, a single mother of four, heard strange noises coming from her children's bedroom. At first, she dismissed it as childish pranks, but as the days went by, the unexplained phenomena intensified. Furniture began to move on its own, seemingly pushed by invisible hands. Heavy dressers slid across the floor, defying explanation. Chairs rocked back and forth without anyone sitting in them. The family watched in horror as their home became a playground for unseen forces. Toys took on a life of their own, flying across rooms with impossible speed and precision. Lego bricks pelted walls, and dolls appeared in places they shouldn't be. The children's belongings became weapons in an otherworldly assault. But it was at night when the true terror unfolded. The Hodgson children, Margaret, Janet, Johnny, and Billy, claimed that invisible hands would grab them, pulling them from their beds. They would wake up screaming, their blankets torn away, their bodies covered in unexplained bruises. As the haunting escalated, it became clear that 11-year-old Janet was at the center of the paranormal storm. Witnesses reported seeing her levitate above her bed, her small body suspended in midair as if held up by unseen strings. The sight was as baffling as it was terrifying. Perhaps most chilling were the voices that emanated from Janet, deep, guttural, and utterly unnatural. These voices spoke of death, violence, and things no child should know. Recordings captured Janet speaking in a gravelly male voice, claiming to be the spirit of a man who had died in the house years before. The young girl's body seemed to be under the control of something inhuman. Witnesses watched in horror as Janet contorted herself into impossible positions, her limbs bending at unnatural angles. Her face would twist into grotesque expressions, her eyes rolling back in her head as she spoke in tongues. As news of the haunting spread, the Hodgson home became a magnet for the curious and the skeptical alike. Dozens of witnesses from all walks of life came to observe the phenomena firsthand. Police officers, hardened by years on the beat, left the house shaken and pale, unable to explain what they had seen. Journalists flocked to Enfield, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Many arrived as skeptics, determined to debunk the claims. But even the cynical reporters found themselves questioning their beliefs after spending a night in the Hodgson home. Paranormal investigators descended on the house, armed with cameras, tape recorders, and an array of scientific equipment. They captured countless hours of footage and audio, documenting events that defied rational explanation. Photographs showed objects in mid-flight, suspended in ways that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Among the investigators were Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous American demonologists whose cases would later inspire the Conjuring film series. The Warrens, veterans of numerous hauntings, declared the Enfield case to be one of the most convincing they had ever encountered. As the investigation deepened, a complex and disturbing picture began to emerge. The entity haunting the Hodgson home claimed to be the spirit of Bill Wilkins, a man who had indeed died in the house years earlier. Details provided by the spirit, speaking through Janet, were later verified by Wilkins' son. The poltergeist seemed to have a particular fixation on Janet. It would often target her, throwing objects at her or dragging her from her bed. Some theorized that Janet's entrance into puberty had somehow triggered or amplified the paranormal activity. As months passed, the intensity of the haunting ebbed and flowed. There were periods of relative calm, followed by explosive outbursts of supernatural activity. The Hodgson family lived on edge, never knowing the next manifestation would occur. The case drew the attention of the Society for Psychical Research, a respected organization dedicated to investigating paranormal claims. Their investigators spent countless hours in the house, meticulously documenting every occurrence and interviewing all involved. Yet, as with any high-profile paranormal case, skeptics soon emerged. Some claimed that Janet and her sister Margaret were simply playing elaborate pranks, seeking attention or a way out of their difficult home life. Critics pointed to instances where the girls were caught trying to bend spoons or manipulate objects when they thought no one was looking. But for every skeptic, there were dozens of credible witnesses who insisted that what they had seen and experienced in the Enfield house was beyond any possible hoax. The sheer volume and variety of phenomena, witnessed by so many over such an extended period, seemed to defy any simple explanation. The recordings made in the house remain some of the most compelling evidence of the Enfield poltergeist. The deep, menacing voice that emerged from Janet's mouth chills listeners to this day. Experts in audio analysis have been unable to explain how a young girl could produce such sounds. Photographs taken during the haunting show objects suspended in midair, furniture overturned, and the terrified faces of the Hodgson family. These images, along with hours of video footage, provide a visual record of events that continue to baffle researchers. As the case dragged on, its toll on the Hodgson family became increasingly apparent. Peggy, already struggling as a single mother, found herself at the center of a media circus. The children, particularly Janet and Margaret, were subjected to intense scrutiny and accusations of fraud. The haunting finally began to subside in 1979, nearly 2 years after it began. The phenomena gradually decreased in frequency and intensity, until eventually the Hodgson home fell silent. The family, exhausted and traumatized, was left to piece their lives back together. In the decades since, the Enfield poltergeist has become a cornerstone of paranormal lore. It has inspired books, documentaries, and even Hollywood films. Researchers continue to debate the case, analyzing every piece of evidence in search of answers. For many, the Enfield case remains one of the most convincing examples of poltergeist activity ever documented. The sheer number of witnesses, the variety of phenomena, and the extensive documentation set it apart from other haunting cases. Yet questions linger. Was it truly the work of a malevolent spirit? A manifestation of psychokinetic energy from the troubled Hodgson family? An elaborate hoax that spiraled out of control? Or perhaps some combination of these factors? Whatever the truth, the Enfield poltergeist left an indelible mark on all who encountered it. The Hodgson family, the investigators, and the countless witnesses were forever changed by their experiences in that unassuming council house. And many still believe the Enfield poltergeist never truly left. Some say that on quiet nights in that corner of North London, you can still hear the echoes of unexplained noises. The whisper of moving furniture and the faint, chilling laughter of something not quite human.